Did you know that BDSM and kink are healthy outlets for aggression, imagination, and attention? Hi, and welcome to the Partition, home of kinky wellness. My name is Dana Slosser, and I'm a sexual wellness coach that dives deep into all things kinky. I'm here to show how BDSM and kink deserves a rightful spot within the sexual wellness conversation. So, let's talk about it. Welcome back to the Partition with our reoccurring guest, Katrina of Satisfied Cat. Today's episode is going to be fun because Katrina and I will be reviewing our likes and dislikes for the 1996 movie Bound, starring Jennifer Tilly and Gina Gershon. So welcome back, Katrina.
Yay. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Very good. I'm very excited for today's movie.
Well, this was your pick. So Bound was your pick. So why don't we start with you? Just give us a little debrief of the film.
So it was the 1990 movie Bound with Jennifer Tilly, and I do always forget the other actress.
Gina Gershon.
Oh, both of them gorgeous. So it is a almost love triangle between the main characters, where Jennifer Tilly's character is in a relationship with a mafioso guy, and her and the other female character, who don't know why my brain has gone today.
No, Gina, it's all good.
Gina, we'll call her Gina. They decide that they are going to frame him for money laundering and go and start a new life somewhere else. It's interestingly by the Wachowski, now sisters, but at the time brothers, who I think are the ones that did Matrix.
Oh wow! Okay, so I didn't know the director.
Actually,
wow.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
So I know, I was like, but yeah, it's a movie that I absolutely love because it was like the first time that I properly got to see lesbian representation in a way that was attractive for me.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I haven't watched a lot of lesbian films, I can't say, but this one, it was such a real, raw, authentic female orgasm, that scene, like that sex scene. It wasn't overdone. There wasn't any of these unnecessary, like, I know women can get loud, but in heterosexual sex scenes, they're so loud. Like, oh my God, loud.
To the point where you're like, really? No, I agree. And it's also done in such a way that I found like quite poignant, but less about the male gaze as well. It was about two women getting off, not two women getting off for male viewers. Like for me personally,
I think they knew their demographic. They knew their audience for sure.
Oh, definitely. And I think like scene with like where she's running the hands up, and like the whole point of like, even throughout the movie beyond the sex scene, like the actual use of hands being seen as a sex object was something that is like an amazing thing to see throughout the movie as well. So
I didn't think of that, but now that you're saying this, like all the moments, even at the doorway, that's coming back.
Yes. And it's, you know, like the bit where she like grabs her hand and kind of, you know, puts the fingers in her mouth and then puts them between her thighs. And I was like, oh, yes. And that was when I was like, oh, I know I'm gay.
That's another bonus that I loved about so much about this film was the opening line. It says, I had this image of you inside me, like a part of me. And maybe I wasn't ready, but I was setting up the movie and then that line came on and I just paused it and I said, wow, what a beautiful line.
Yeah, it's just so raw and intense and like beautiful in it that I'm just like, oh, everything. And I love, like, Jennifer Tilly is one of my favorite actresses anyway. But I've loved her since like Bride of Chucky. And it is like, I was reading an interview about her doing the movie as I was doing a little recap, and she was saying about how she uses like the tone of her voice for depending on who she's speaking to. So when she's speaking to male characters, she's like almost putting on this like heteronormative, heterosexual front of like, she uses the baby voice and uses the high pitched side of her voice to make her look more docile, because she's almost like she's trapped, so she has to pretend. And then at the same time, when she's talking to Corky, who is the butch lesbian in it as well, she has this like more even tone of voice. showing like she actually gets to be the real person and her real self. And I was like, I just found that when I was rewatching it, I was like, oh my God, like that's such a beautiful take on like being in love with somebody and like being with somebody who you feel gets you. That I was like,
well, her character reminded me of Betty Boop. I don't know, in a weird way. And in Renee Zellweger, she reminds me of Renee Zellweger for some reason. I don't know why. Like I maybe it's just me, but I got like hints of her. I was like, okay, the high voice. I don't know, but yeah. So like, what scene did you like the most?
So mine is it's the one everybody always thinks of, but it's the one where she loses her earring and then goes to seduce Corky. For me, that was my favorite scene because it was, as a feminine lesbian, very rarely do I find we get to be the pursuers. Does that make sense? So for me to see this very feminine looking woman, this woman who is, you know, does it all with this butch lesbian, and actually being able to show, like, not even pretending, it was none of that, oh, I didn't know what I was doing, oh, I'm so shocked at this lesbian. No, she was like, that's what I want and that's what I'm gonna get. And like that for me is probably like the best, like that's my favorite scene, is when they do start that, the start of the relationship. Also just because like Corky is my dream, like that is the type of person I want to date, like birch leather jacket, handy around the house, looks like they'll do the dishes, yes, sign me up.
Like the old car, when she said, let me guess, you have a 20-year-old car, and she's like, it's a truck, and I was like, this is so funny. Like I liked it. I laughed. One of the scenes I laughed the hardest at though was when the husband comes in and just thinks Corky is a guy and just goes absolutely rageful. And then as soon as he realizes that it's a woman, he calms the fuck down. And I laughed so hard at that because I feel like that still rings true. This idea that in a relationship, heterosexual men will allow their girlfriends to make out with other girlfriends, not in the same light as boyfriends. And it might sound a little college or high school, but I still sense it. I sense it now. I thought it would disappear growing up, but even when I meet other people, I'm like, okay.
No, I agree, because I think all you've got to do is like, so I've got quite a few bisexual friends, and a lot of them, like the reaction that their partners have, especially if they're male partners, that idea of like, oh, if she wants to get with a girl, it's not considered cheating.
Yes.
And I'm like, but she's not doing it for you. Like, if my friend decides, even if she's in a relationship with you, decides she's going to get with a woman, it won't be because it's in a threesome, it'll be because she wants to fuck another woman.
Yeah,
she has made, like, and I'm not condoning cheating, but like it's that, it's the same way as like women, especially queer women, for me anyway, it's kind of that point of like, even if you are very presenting queer, you're still not seen as like a real threat, or like, you know, lesbian relationships still aren't considered as like real relationships until, like, you know, how many women have to lie and pretend that they've got a boyfriend in order to get it, as like to get a guy away from them. But no, one of my favorite ones though is, like, my other favorite scene is actually the ending scene where they get away with it.
Yep.
And I think for me, it's because so many LGBT movies, specifically 90s and 80s movies, usually the queer couple has to have something bad happen to them by the end of the movie. So one of them has to die, one of them, they have falls back in love with a man, etc., etc. And like, obviously when they've got it all set up where it looks like, you know, he's going to kill Corky because of the money, etc., you almost expect it to be either Corky dies, or like when Jennifer Tilly's character gets offered to be in a safe relationship with
the mob boss guy,
with the mob boss who asks for that, you almost expect her to take it because it's the safe route, and it's that return to normality that at the time was such a normal part of queer cinema, that to see her choose to go with Corky and to go and have a life with Corky is amazing for me. Like, you know, when I was first coming out as queer and I'm first learning what I'm attracted to and what I like, that was amazing. And also like throughout it, all to have Corky be this butch lesbian where it's not done predatory, that was amazing for me to see as well. Because I find in a lot of movies, the queer woman, especially the more masculine queer woman, is always seen as predatory. So yeah, I think like, yeah, what about you? Like what scenes did you like or didn't you like actually?
Well, actually, to continue on Corky, I actually love her character. One of my favorite lines that she said is, "The thing I can't stand in women is apologizing for sex," or something like that. It was along the lines of she hates when women apologize for sex. And I, again, was laughing. I couldn't agree more. I said, damn, that's a great line too. Because I feel like women apologize for a lot of useless things, but specifically over sex, like right now there's like millions of women right now that are apologizing for sex and things like, or wanting or desire, or they're boxed in or forced in, whether it's cultural or societal. And that sentence, I wish that we could just refurbish it and just put it on a billboard somewhere now, 2022. Sure, just stop apologizing for wanting sex. It's absolutely ridiculous.
You could have that as the tagline for the Partition.
Oh yeah, stop apologizing for sex. Like, oh, I'm gonna start a protest and that's what it's gonna be about.
I understand. No, I completely agree. And I also find like going off of your point where it's like they don't view Corky as a threat. One of the other bits that I found quite interesting was when when it's like that bit, the middle bit where it's like, who's got the money? Who stole who? Mm-hmm. All it took was Jennifer Tilly's character calling the boss and saying, oh, you know, he's got the money and he's done this and he's done that. But because she's a woman, at no point is she considered a threat. Like it takes him quite a while to realize that his partner has stolen the money. So it's a really interesting one to see where like actually she uses throughout it that idea of like, oh, women are still seen as these docile, idiotic bimbo types that they wouldn't lie no matter what, when actually all she does throughout the movie is lie to the men in her life.
Yeah, like every single one. Like even at the end there when she like kisses the guy who gave her the offer. And I do like her character in the sense that I feel like she's very fluid. She just does whatever kind of she wants. But I do feel like, yeah, she played kind of dumb sometimes. And then at the end, she's like, you don't know who I am. Like, I'm tough shit. And it's like, act like it. Like there was multiple times where like you could have gone, just take the gun, shoot. I don't know. But it's a little bit about that because they are such smart characters at the end of it. They pulled it off. They got away. I love how they souped up their truck with a remote starter. That was funny because even for the time, I was like, oh, wow, that's hilarious.
No, I do. I do love it. But was there anything that you didn't enjoy from the movie?
Like not so much. Like it was a pretty standard like mob movie, I think. I like that it was a mob film with lesbians in it, but I wouldn't consider this like a lesbian film. Like maybe I thought like in the sense there is lesbians in it and there is a lesbian scene, but it was so much more than that. Like it wasn't just predominantly on them having lesbian sex or anything like that. Although I love that scene, but it was very early in the film. And then the rest of the film was just the plot line and it's kept it on that. So I was like, this is interesting.
No, I mean, sorry.
Sorry. Say like that. It wasn't just about sex. It was like a work that they had to do.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's what I like about the movie as well, because so many queer movies are all about being queer, and it's always like, you know, they discover who they are, or it's all of that. And don't get me wrong, I do love those movies. There are some amazing movies out. I'm very much looking forward to seeing Bros. That looks like it's going to be fucking hilarious. But I am an action girl through and through. I love my gangster movies. Yes. I love my super spy movies or superhero movies. That is actually really, like you said, it was really nice to watch a movie that is like, there are queer characters in it. There are lesbians in it. The relationship, the predominant relationship is a lesbian relationship.
And how they portrayed it. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, but that was, like you said, secondary to the plot.
Yes. Yes. Which I think they need to do more because I feel like it takes the weight off of it's just normalizing a bit better. Like if we had all genres with just different types of leads, like lesbian, gay, all types, like this is kind of the first action lesbian film that I've seen, I would say. I'm trying to think. But you're right, a lot of the lesbian films are when there are lesbian characters. It is so sad. Some sadness. Very sad. Like I know we've mentioned it before, but I couldn't see it more real than watching it with that film.
Yeah.
And it also showed me that films, even way back when, we always have, well, not we, but whoever puts these films on always has a choice on how they want to portray sex in it. And they chose to do it eloquently, realistically. They didn't overblow it. And they did it with honesty. So I think that's why I liked it so much. And because of that, it just points out all the lame lesbian sex scenes that you can see in films. Like, you're like, you also had a choice. You also had a choice to do it properly, but you didn't. You don't know your audience. You're just, or maybe you do, and you're just sending it to some like their male fetish thing where they want to see it. But this was refreshing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And also, like you said, with the sex scene, it kind of, when I realized it was the Wachowskis, I was like, oh, actually, that makes sense because I've seen Sense8 and I really enjoy their sex scenes as well.
Oh my gosh, did you do that too? Okay, so I didn't know that. I need to look up this more. Okay, that's crazy. Also, another thing about this film, so for better or for worse, I would say as much as there was, like the butch and the ultra femme, I feel like they're more balanced now when I see lesbian couples on TV. Like it's not so much this, there is one with a butch truck with a feminine lady in when I see lesbian on TV shows now versus when I was watching it with the film. For better, for worse, like we all love our kinks and all that jazz, but I saw it very structured. Feminine lady with the butch lady with those roles, but they kind of played with it. Like they made fun of it a little bit on little comments here and there. So I thought that was cute.
I do agree with you about the whole, like, there isn't as much butch femme dichotomy. But then I also find maybe that's probably why I don't enjoy a lot of women love women kind of movies these days, is because you kind of get made to feel bad if you do have that thing. Like I am femme for butch. I won't deny that about myself. But the minute you say that, you get told that you're putting people in boxes. And I'm like, but there are butchers out there who are butch for femme. And actually, it's such a big part of our history, of like queer women history. Why have I got to be ashamed of it? Like, so
and we all have preferences. That's wrong. Yeah. I just feel like, first of all,
dick about it.
Yeah, like my like, style.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's a hard one when you're sat there and you're like, it is amazing that we are kind of, when we are doing queer relationships, we're not pushing the heteronormative stereotypes, and like we're not pushing heteronormativity of you need to have an uber masculine one and an uber feminine one, and one has to do the men's job and the other has to be the. No, I don't agree with that. But I do also think we have kind of erased massive parts of being queer and being queer within the boundaries of like female, non-binary and trans, and anybody who would call themselves women love and woman or WLW. It does erase though that there is still this part of our community that does ascribe to that. And they don't ascribe to heteronormative standards. And I think to say that it is bullshit, and also pushes that you don't like certain people looking a certain way, because it's never about the femme that people are angry. It's about the fact that there's a butch one. And I'm like, no, you just find butch or mask presenting queer people scary because they prove everything you think about being queer incorrect. This idea that we don't know who we are and we're questioning ourselves. And especially from a lesbian perspective or from even a bi perspective, so long as you've got you get fucked by the right penis, you're going to straighten yourself out and realize that all you wanted was a man all along. And it's like, no, I like masculine energy, but I don't like you.
Yeah.
And there's a difference.
And energy is not a body part or a body look. Like it's great that you say that too, because it's one of those things. Like I like more manly looking men. like
Yeah.
over like the pretty boy type of men. So why is the big deal if you, like that's normal everywhere. It doesn't make sense to say that lesbians aren't into that too, because again, it's a masculine energy. If you put two males in front of me and one, it looks more like quote unquote pretty boy, maybe they are like more into their like metrosexual and like they take care of themselves and stuff, but like the manly looking man, like I will gravitate towards that as well.
No, I just, one of the questions that you gave, I really like, that I am going to ask you about it is, did the film change your perspective on anything?
Yeah, like I think it gave me it changed my perspective on the sense that we should be making more movies with different types of leads. Why can't we have a murder mystery that is run by a two lesbian couple? Or like we have rom-coms and we have sad and we have drama, but now we have like the one action film that I saw right now, but there's different versions of it. Like be funny and even throw like Western in there. Who cares? Like I don't know if that's dead yet, but like maybe there's a vibe there.
There should be. I love a Western. There should be.
I feel like Western is a hit or miss with people. They're either like, I love it or they hate it.
I grew up on like my granddad and my stepdad actually watching like all of the old cowboy movies. I cannot, like, to the point where like it comes on and I'm like, oh, for Christ's sake, I've watched this one too many times.
That's funny. So like if you were on set, what question would you ask the director or the actresses?
Ooh.
Okay, I can start. I would ask literally how the sexual energy was on set. And like, I would ask that, like I know that you can be professional and things like that, but I just want to feel it. Like because I know actresses and actors have to do chemistry set tests. That's something they have to do.
Yeah.
So I just wonder if like the whole crew would be feeling it and just be like, wow, this is intense. Cause it's so good. Like I felt like there was tons of energy in the movie.
Yes, like I think from the moment you first see them all together, it's like, ooh. Maybe for me it would be like, was there any part of it, like especially with that sex scene or like with the seduction side, that any of you thought wasn't realistic? Maybe because I find a lot of times, like I don't know about you, but even when I watch that, just like that some of the things that happen, and you just sat there and you're like, it just doesn't feel. Like it doesn't feel realistic, you know what I mean? Like not even just the sex, but like the build up to sex.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I would have asked the men on set, actually, the male actors. I think I would have asked them if they enjoyed playing the idiots more than anything. Like usually it's like, oh, you know, the man figures it out and blah, blah, blah. But this time it was like, no, they were all kind of playing the same of, we don't know who's in it. Everybody's a bit stupid.
Well, I found that the actors that they used for them, they always play the same characters. Like the guy who plays, like, I feel like I've seen two of those lead men in the same thing. One isn't he in Law and Order SVU? At least here we have a show called Law and Order Special Victims Unit, and he's in that show and he kind of plays this cop, swanky attitude kind of guy. And then the boyfriend, he's every single film I've ever seen him in, he's the same character, this like fast talking, smooth, under the table, kind of villainous character. So
but then also I swear, I don't know why, I'm just trying to work out who, if it is who I think it is. The guy who plays the boyfriend, I swear I'm used to seeing him be an idiot. Joe something, right?
I'm not actually sure.
Joe Pantalonio. I know him from places, but I can never remember what. Oh, he's in The Matrix.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I swear he was in, no, I think I got it wrong, but I always thought he was in Dracula Dead and Loving It, which was where I saw my first sex.
Okay, we're gonna have to add that to the next one. Like that's funny. I have not yet seen that film.
Oh, you need to watch that. It is amazing. He's in Cats and Dogs as well. Okay, my day's been made.
Well, is there anything you wanted to end with this film? Like this was a great film, and for anyone who hasn't seen it, I encourage you to watch it.
No, I don't think I do. I think we've sold it really well. It's got mob bosses, lesbians,
accurate female orgasms.
Yes. Gratuitous hand shots.
This film has everything.
Hot women in leather jackets. That's all you need to know.
Well, thank you, Kat, so much for your movie choice this week. It was great to have you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for watching one of my favorite movies.
Absolutely. So for everyone listening, if anyone has a movie or a topic that you'd want us to talk about, leave a message below in the comments. And if you've seen this film, let us know what you think. Thank you for listening. And as always, stay kinky and tune in next week.